So,
what about him?
We want to talk about the fact that, well, first of all, today Jim Bowden, longtime MLB GM, ranked every team's lineup in Major League Baseball. Where do you think he put the Guardians?
Last. Second to last.
25th.
Second to.
Exactly right. 25th. Here are the lineups. Well, I don't need to look at it because I'm pretty sure I know who it is. The only teams below the Guardians in the lineup are the worst teams in baseball.
Yeah.
Okay? Like the Guardians are the only team in that bottom 6 or whatever it is that are, in theory, should be competitive for a division. But their lineup is so bad that it holds them back. And he made the point of saying, hey, in his write-up, he goes, Jose Ramirez is awesome. I expect Andres Jimenez to bounce back this year. Kyle Manzardo, once he comes up, will be good. And he mentioned Josh Naylor. He expects Josh Naylor to have a good season. But he said, but if the Guardians are going to make the playoffs, they got to be a whole lot better than 25th, which is obvious. Now, again, they don't have to be number 1, but they got to be number 15 or somewhere around that. They've got to be a middle-of-the-road offensive club and have their pitching stay healthy. And it's something we've all alluded to a lot lately is that Jose Ramirez took a major discount to stay with the Guardians. It might be, just off the top of my head right now, the largest discount I've ever seen a veteran player take. Young players, it's different before they get eligible for free agency. But for a guy who was a year away from becoming a free agent, he probably left maybe $100 million on the table. I will never know exactly how much he left, but I would say he left around $100 million, and I don't think I've ever seen a player in any sport leave $100 million on the table in that kind of way by giving the hometown team. And what has the team done to repay him? Not much.
Nathaniel.
Pocket the money.
Well, they tried.
They didn't.
They tried to get Josh Bell and.
They did, but that's not a lot of money.
I know, but I'm just saying that was.
So they spent on Josh Bell and what's
Zanino.
And they didn't last the whole half a year.
About $20 million last year.
They didn't even last the whole year.
This year they've spent less than they spent last year in free agency. They signed Austin Hedges.
And then they did victory laps on the Austin.
Wait a minute.
Traded
World
for Scott
Series champion.
They signed World Series champion Austin Hedges.
Thank you.
And they traded for Scott Barlow. Between the two, they're making $11 million this year. They did sign one other major league contract, journeyman pitcher Ben Lively for $1 million.
Did you see JD Martinez signed with the Mets for $12 million?
I did see that.
That's a lot of money.
What do you mean it's a lot? You being sarcastic?
No, well, you said the other day you thought you'd get him for like $3-4 million.
I did not say that.
No, you said the Guardians could sign him right now for $3-4 million.
I said they could have signed Adam Duvall for $3-4
my
million.
bad. Sorry.
Yeah, I knew JD was going to cost more than $3-4 million.
Bad job.
But still, the Guardians, they can't spend $12 million?
$12 million is light.
You know what a difference JD Martinez would make in their lineup? But Adam Duvall just signed with the Braves last week, and that guy could have, if you played him every day in center field, and he could play center field, if you played him every day in center field for the Guardians, and he stayed healthy, he'd hit at least 25 home runs. He'd be at worst second on the team in home runs. He'd hit somewhere between 22 and 32 home runs if he played 130, 140 games. And the Braves signed him for like $4 million. There's no excuse for that. And when you look, I was talking, you weren't here yesterday. I was talking Jim Duquette, who used to be the GM with the Mets, worked with the Orioles too. He was on my podcast this week. And I asked him about Jose Ramirez, and did he think Jose was going to bounce back? Compared to most players, Jose still had a really great year last year. But for him, it was a down year.
He was in the MVP top 5.
Right, early, especially early. And then second half, he wasn't as good. And I said, do you think Jose is going to bounce back? And he said, honestly, I think the reason his numbers have declined a little bit each year the last few years is because the lineup around him is so bad that he's now started to swing at a little more at bad pitches that he wouldn't have in the past because he gets pitched around a lot and he doesn't get a lot of pitches.
Not seeing no pitches.
And the Guardians have screwed this guy. They've screwed him. Now, I give him credit for signing Jimenez. I like that move. I know he didn't have a great year last year, but I like the player. I give the Guardians credit for that. It was a good signing. But they have failed to put enough talent around him, and I think that has hurt his career.
This is, to me, If you have the business analogy or restaurant analogy, this is why, businesses go out of business. Like, you can make a couple of decisions where, you invest in the wrong person, you invest in the wrong product line, you start skimping and start taking away on the margins. And it's like, when you go out there, and I'll never forget this, and it just always rubs me the wrong way. It was 2 years before Francisco Lindor came up and
was going to be a free agent.
First free agent.
Yeah.
And Dolan said,
Yep.
"You better enjoy him while he's here."
I wanted to punch him in the face.
That is so flippant and disrespectful to your fan base. That's like you being in a restaurant business and you a steakhouse and you ordering top prime beef and people used to it. And then you say, well, listen, you better get used to it because we're going to that ground chuck in about 2 weeks. You better enjoy that filet while you got it. What? That's crazy to me. And not only aren't they going to give you that, like, I think it's a slap in the face that they're going to throw Shane Bieber out there again for the 5th straight year. But in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about is they going to trade him or not.
Well, maybe not in 2 weeks, but certainly.
I'm about to say,
certainly in months we will.
They think about it. You won't pay
Yeah.
me.
That
but
deadline
for
comes
5
around
straight years,
for
you've
sure.
given me the ball
Yeah.
to go out there and start
Right.
opening day.
Yeah.
It's mixed messages, man.
Speaking of opening day,
Go ahead.
Before you go, this came out 1 minute ago from Zach Meisel. The following players have made the Guardians opening day roster:
Okay.
Carlos Carrasco,
Cookie.
Tyler Beede,
Beede.
Brian Rocchio, Tyler Freeman, David Fry, and Gabriel Arias.
Wait.
Rocchio made it?
Arias, Rocchio, and Freeman are all on the roster.
So Zach follows this tweet up saying, "This would seem to leave one spot available for either Will Brennan, Devison De Los Santos, or Estevan Florial."
Oh, listen.
Wow.
Florial.
Well, that's interesting.
Because De Los Santos.
Well, I kind of like that because I like Rocchio. I always forget if it's Rocchio or it's Rocchio, right?
Rocchio, yes.
I should know that. I'm a baseball
I
guy.
forgot.
Right, it's
I didn't think he was going to make the roster.
I didn't think he was going to make it either. I'm actually excited about that. I assume he's going to play shortstop every day. I know the thought was Arias would play it. I think I don't know why you'd have Rocchio on the roster if you're not going to play him every
Especially
day. And I think Tyler Freeman might be playing some center field.
And so was Arias DH?
Yeah, I'm about to say.
I don't know what they're
Wasn't he
gonna
a
do.
Shortstop?
But if Rocchio's on the roster, he's got to play every day.
So does that mean Jimenez might play shortstop? Because Rocchio, I thought was a second baseman.
No, Rocchio's a shortstop. Freeman's a second baseman, but they've been working Freeman in center field. So the fact that either I had Florial and Brennan both making the team.
Dang.
So the fact that only one of those two, De Los Santos, he's a Rule 5 pick. He should not be on the. If the Guardians are trying to win, you can't have Davison De Los Santos on the roster. He's a Rule 5 pick. Here's the thing, okay? A quick explanation. So the Rule 5 draft happens in December. The Guardians took Davison De Los Santos in the Rule 5 draft. If you take a guy in the Rule 5 draft, he has to stay on your major league roster the entire season. And if you don't, or on the injured list, and if you don't keep him, if you want to you can't send him to the minors. You have to offer him back to the team you drafted him from. So, but this guy's never really played above AA, and he hasn't had any success.
Yeah, there's no incentive.
If you're actually going to try to win, you can't have a guy on your offensive team that's a Rule 5 pick. I could live with it as the last bullpen spot, but not as a hitter. So he should be gone. Plus, they need another outfielder. I mean, but Tyler Freeman is being looked at as an outfielder, absolutely, because you're going to keep 5 outfielders probably, and Florial or Brennan will be the last guy. Now, Florial also cannot be sent to the minors. He has no options left, which means if you can try to send him to the minors, but another team can claim him.
He goes on waivers then, essentially.
Another team would claim him. If nobody claims him, then the Guardians can send him to the minors. But so I'm guessing that that is really interesting. But I got to text Zach, and we'll on the first Ultimate Cleveland Guardians show on Monday, we'll talk more about this. But I got to think this means Rocchio is I think the starting shortstop.
Well, we talked about Florial being a guy to potentially block the ladder for moving up.
Right.
And obviously he's been sent down to AA, but To see both Brennan and Florial in jeopardy of not making the roster, like.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't think either of those guys are any good.
But does it
Will
make sense
Brennan
that
had moments.
if you have Florial, right?
Yeah.
And you say you can't send him down, well, they give him first bite at the apple
I
a little
think
bit.
Well, you can't send De Los Santos down either, G.
Well,
Right, but you can send Brennan down.
But
You can send Brennan, yes.
if Florial ain't doing nothing, you just
Right.
bring up one of them, the Lauder or one of them other guys.
My guess is Florial will get that last spot. They'll send Brennan down. They'll send De Los Santos back to, I can't remember what team they got him
Arizona.
from, whatever team.
Arizona.
And that my guess is Freeman will be the primary starting center fielder, with Miles Straw playing some against lefties, and then Rocchio and Gabriel Arias will play some shortstop and some DH between them.
Platoon?
But they've been waiting on Freeman, Arias, and Rocchio. Arias has gotten some opportunity. The other two have barely gotten any. If you're going to have them on the roster, then you got to play them. I want to see if those three guys are there. I want them playing at least 80% of the time.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. I feel a little better about that.
I ain't a salty.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing a couple of names that I've been waiting on to see for 2-3 years.
Let's see
now.
what they got. And in terms of Carrasco, the question is, I got to ask this, Zach, also, is he going to be their fifth starter? Because Gavin Williams is starting the year on the injured list. So the question is, will Tyler Beatty is a journeyman, like he could be their fifth starter too. Carrasco obviously has been a great starter in his career, but he was with the Mets last year.
Dang, they got a lot. Stefan is out too.
Yeah, I think Karinchak, Stefan, Gavin Williams, all those guys are going to start on the injured list. And somebody else was banged up in the pen too. I can't remember who the fourth guy was.
I'm drawing a blank. But
What's that?
Yeah,
I'm drawing
yeah.
a blank on who that last person is.
So anyway, some interesting.
We'll put a
moves
bow
there.
tie on this real quick before we
Yeah.
do super chats and then with the Jameis Winston topic. But we started the topic as, are the Guardians kind of wasting the prime years of Jose by not putting a more competent lineup around him? Tyvis, yes or no?
Oh, you didn't get a chance to answer.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wasting his years. They wasting not just his years. They
Yep.
wasting our years as fans as well. Listen,
Yep.
this organization has been right there. Yes, y'all have done some really amazing things with not spending money, but like at some point, like come on, man, just spend the money so we can actually enjoy it. Yes, did attendance go up last year?
It did.
It did go up last year. You want to really sell it out. Now you get some sticks in there and make it more exciting for us to come see it. And on top of that, if somebody leave $100 million on the table, you better utilize the $100 million. If I'm Jose, I'm going back in there and say, hey, I need my money because y'all ain't going to use it, so you might as well put it back in my pocket.
They're too busy putting it into Matt Dolan's failed political
G,
campaign.
what say you?
They got. I say, of course, yeah. And they don't. The frustrating part is there's a lot of people that want to rock with the Guardians. There's a lot of people who don't really necessarily identify with basketball because it's such a singular sport. You know, the Browns, they got 12 games a year. There's a lot of people in this city, including a lot of people in my family, that really want to get around and put their arms around the Guardians, but they don't do enough to put that competitive nature on the field. And baseball, like anything, they don't understand. Baseball, people come to watch players. Like people, my mom still loves CeCe Sabathia and Cliff Lee and dudes like that. You know what I'm saying? Victor Martinez. She loved Francisco Lindor. When they didn't pay Lindor, she swore off of him. She said, I would never. She said they didn't have to come out and say that in the public like that. That he was playing hard for you. They marketed their whole
Enjoy
campaign
them while
around
you
him.
have
I just think that they put a little more into it and didn't have it so transactional. It feels transactional with the
That's
Guardians
true.
a little
Yeah.
bit. Like